As we saw during the Monaco Grand Prix weekend, Mercedes unveiled a brand new front ring concept for the W15, having now seemingly abandoned their very innovative design which they introduced for the start of the season, where they were trying to reintroduce the Y250 vortex that had long been lost with the introduction of this brand new generation of F1 cars. Now, what the team has unearthed throughout the course of the first 6 rounds before we headed to Monaco was the fact that this particular ring, which was very ironic in a sense, is the fact that it brought a lot more load in certain corner instances that was ever predicted in the wind tunnels and through CFD. And this left the W15 with a balance issue, particularly so at the rear of the car, and both drivers struggled with it. And then at Monaco they turned up with a brand new ring where they got rid of the innovation and they have a much more conventional front wing with the fourth element now fully attaching to the side of the chassis. Now, more information regarding this news has come to light regarding the front wing and the changes that they made, and we're going to be going over that in this video. Now, before we do, there's a competition being run on the channel at the moment up until the first practice session of the Canadian Grand Prix in the fortnight, where you can win this Ferrari Shadoni leather bag. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel, like this video and comment down below to be in with a chance of winning, so good luck. Now, as I was saying, the brand new front ring that the Mercedes team introduced at Monaco is all about making sure they have a stable platform from which the load generated by this new front wing is very much a stable platform for the rest of the car. And they only had one of these front wings brought to the racetrack, which George Russell went on to use throughout the weekend. Now, what's really interesting about this front wing, it takes a lot of inspiration from last year's W14, and specifically the front wing design that they introduced at Silverstone and used throughout the remainder of the season. And it hosts a whole heap of changes across the entire front ring. As you can see from the image on the screen right now, there's lots of changes that have been undertaken for this new front ring introduced in Monaco, which has been highlighted in different colours. So let's start with the fourth element of the front ring, which is in a yellow colour. This is now extended fully to the chassis of the nose, which is highlighted in blue. Other changes, of course, as you can see on the screen, include end plate changes, which now have cutouts in them, which is something that the original front ring from this year did not have. This has taken a leaf out of the Mercedes W14's front ring introduced at Silverstone. And this is, of course, to make sure that the airflow is being guided in a certain manner which the team want it to be in. And also, the second element, highlighted in purple, has undergone a slight change in its design as well. But even the drivers themselves, obviously with George Russell in this case, stated that the Mercedes car on a whole felt the best it's had all season, and they had this to say regarding that during the end of the first practice sessions last Friday. The car is feeling the best I've ever felt around Monaco, so there are lots of positives. Everybody's developing really quickly at the moment. You can see how quickly the lap times are compared to last year. We are potentially breaking that record, so hopefully it will be us. It feels good. And of course, with the fact that we know Mercedes were planning on bringing from the Imola Grand Prix onwards upgrades to the next 5 races, which of course would have included Monaco and did so, it leaves them with a huge amount of kind of potential in terms of closing the gap to the front running teams in Formula 1 this season. And of course the upgrade plan would have included Monaco, Canada, Barcelona, Austria, and then of course finally at Silverstone. And with that, of course, they're looking to further increase the performance relative to the top 3 teams of their W15 car. This comes on the back of the Imola package, which was spread out over the last 2 Formula 1 weekends, actually for once brought the expected performance gains that they saw through the data, which is of course a very encouraging sign for the team. And with that all now being said, the team are on a much more relaxed upgrade kind of calendar path from which they will be incrementally bringing upgrades race on race to increase the performance, as I just said. Of course, all of this is very encouraging news for the team, particularly when the upgrade package over the last 2 weekends was not aimed at actually increasing the overall performance of the car, but rather helping find that correct balance that the drivers would like from the W15. And now that they've, in their own mind, found that balance, that kind of good working window that they've established, and of course that meant that they started that process at the Monaco Grand Prix weekend, and this will now carry on across the next 4 races as well. But of course, this does bode extremely well for the team moving forward for the rest of this season and of course into the next. If they have finally gotten on top of the correlation issues and the upgrades are now bringing the expected performance, this is only a good thing for the team. And I think we're going to see a steady race upon race improvement. And if every single Grand Prix event they can bring that so-called 10th and a half to a race, that would be over near enough 7 to 8 tenths over the next 5 races, which would move them a lot closer to the front 3 pack of Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren. So yeah, it's really good to see what's been spoken about here. But of course, with everything that is written and spoken about, it's actually the kind of talking you do on track with the 2 cars. If you can actually back up your words by the on-track action. Now, if they can do that, and we can see that trend of them getting closer and closer every qualifying session, every race session, we're seeing that gap gradually grow smaller, then we can finally say, yes, the team are getting on top of their issues. They're no longer having to work on correlation issues. They're no longer having to kind of recalculate the baseline of their car and where these future upgrades are going to take them in terms of the pecking order. And they're also not chasing what they would call and have called that kind of magic bullet upgrade, which solves all the problems and just gallops them forward to the front 3. That's something that Toto Wolff and the team have alluded to, that they've been trying to achieve over the last 3 seasons, and that's just never something that's going to work, particularly in this era of Formula 1 cars. And of course, it's finally nice to see that they're just going after smaller incremental gains, and hopefully over the course of multiple Grand Prix weekends, that moves them a lot closer to the front of the pack. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next upcoming races as a result of this. That is the video, guys. I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like, comment down below, and I'll catch you all later this week in another Formula 1 video.